Hi, I'm Doug Wilson with the Paint Source Network. Today we're going to answer a question that's one of our most common questions that we get, and that's how to choose a wood floor finish. There's a lot of choices available on the market. We're going to talk about each of these choices and some of the advantages and disadvantages of these choices. And we're also going to share with you what we use in our own home. A lot of people ask that, so today we're in my house and we're going to look at some various wood surfaces. In addition to discussing our floor care options, we're also going to look at some various wood surfaces such as furniture, kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinetry, and a variety of other wood surfaces. So let's get started. When it comes to coating hardwood floors, most people, the obvious choice is polyurethane. And polyurethane is often chosen because it's widely available, it's what they've always used, and also it's very inexpensive relative to some of the finer wood finishes. I'm often asked, what do I use on my own home? And we're here today, we're going to look at some hardwood floors and look at the advantages of some alternate choices to polyurethane that are available, namely Waterlox Tung Oil. Now, Waterlox is a lot different than a regular polyurethane in that it's a very thin oil film, but it's also a hardening film. It cures with oxygen, so it gives us all the hardness properties of polyurethane, but none of the film forming or plastic looking properties. So we're going to take a look at some examples of this, talk about it in a little more detail. The overbearing reason we choose Waterlox over a polyurethane finish is a couple reasons. One is the lack of the film forming that we talked about. When you see a film on top of wood, it's there where it can get scratched, and scratches are going to show. When you have to maintain a polyurethane floor, after a few years, when the floor gets scratched or it's worn, you have to sand that floor before polyurethane can be recoated with itself. Waterlox does not have to be sanded between coats. That's a huge advantage. Another reason that we choose Waterlox is the way it brings out the natural color out of whatever wood species you're working with. These are a couple little tables that my grandpa actually made, and these were made out of the same batch of walnut. This was Kentucky walnut, and this particular table on the left side has water-based polyurethane on it, and you see that it's just kind of blah and dull. Don't see a lot of natural color coming out, and then here's the Waterlox finish table next to it. So this really shows how Waterlox can pop that natural color out of the wood. And here's a couple more examples. These are kind of rough, but I hope it shows what we're trying to show. Here's basically a coated with Waterlox on this end, and you can see the darker color. This center part here is coated with Waterlox and then top coated with water-based polyurethane, and then the water-based polyurethane to here obviously see no color change. And then, of course, an oil-based poly, again, kind of washed out looking, little plastic looking. Here's another piece where you can really see this detail, where you can still see the texture of the wood with the Waterlox. And then we look at the polyurethane on the other end, and of course you'll see very plastic looking, very prone to scratching. And again, we're going to take a look at the floors, talk about really, truly, that's what we're, the advantage of the Waterlox is, again, as we talked about, not showing scratches. So a floor is going to look, even if you've got kids and dogs or tracking in sand, sure you're going to have scratches, but those scratches won't show as much. Then when it's time to maintain the floor, you simply vacuum the floor, wash it with the appropriate detergent, and you apply another coat, which we'll discuss in detail a little bit later. But there's no sanding, there's no machines coming in your house, so maintenance is easy. You can do it on a Saturday morning. We've got some good guides on how to apply it on the website. If you have any questions, you can call us on the toll-free number. We want you to have a good project, so we'll be glad to answer your questions, but we hope we can answer most of them today to save you time and really give you the best information that you can get. One of the other great features about Waterlox is really the ease of application. And you can use a lot of different methods depending on your project. If you're doing furniture, you may choose a small brush. If you're doing a recoat on a tabletop, you might even use a rag. So it can be applied a lot of different ways, and we have details on application on the website. But what we'll talk about is some things you might need. For a floor project, which we're focusing on today, you're going to need a small angled brush for cutting in around the baseboard and around the perimeter. Some people choose to use a large, either a 4 or 5 or 6 inch brush. A lot of these brushes will have a removable handle. Sorry about the squeak. Removable handle, so you can attach this to a pole and do all your work from a standing position. The most common way that Waterlox is applied, though, is with a lambswool applicator. And these will come in a variety of sizes. This particular one is a 16 inch lamb's wool applicator, and it's a natural lamb skin. This is a replacement cover that'll go. You want to use a new applicator cover for each coat of Waterlox so we get a good clean finish. Because the applicators come in a variety of sizes, you'll have to choose the type of container you're going to work out of. If you're going to use the 16-inch, you're going to need a large tray. This particular tray is the, sorry, turn it around, the Big Ben tray from Wooster. You've got a couple places in the front where you can set a brush here. You know, you've got room in there for those. So that's nice, and then you just use the base of the applicator. Now for the 10-inch applicators, you can either use what they call an oversized paint tray or a 5-gallon bucket. Now the one key thing when using the applicators is we don't want to rake it over the edge of the pan or the bucket that we're using. We want to just dip it, saturate the applicator cover, and go to the floor. But again, there's a DVD available, or online you can see a nice application procedural guide for applying Waterlox to the hardwood floors. Here's another little handy applicator. This is actually a little lamb's wool hand pad. Now, the thing that we want to discuss is before you go to the floor with your lamb's wool applicator, that you take either a hairbrush, or we've got just an old deck brush, and you want to really comb that out, and you can see that fuzz coming out of there. And once we do that, we'll brush out some of the fuzz, and we'll take a piece of masking tape, stick on here, and pull off. So you just kind of roll the tape around on there. Just keep pulling it off, stick it back on. This will pull out a lot of this small fuzz.